Autopsy is the software that we will be using to extract the data from the forensic data analysis. So as you can see here, this autopsy here is actually the file that was extracted from this zip file. So if you log into the link that I have put under the video, if you log into that link, you will download this zip file. So once you extract the zip file and install it, this is how Autopsy would install into your computer. So the assumption here is that once you have already installed Autopsy into your computer, then you are ready to do your forensic analysis of your suspect's hard drive. So this Autopsy here, if we click into this, it will run and then ask us to create a case, as well as asking us to retrieve the file from the suspect's hard drive. So the assumption here is that once you about to launch into this Autopsy, this file of your TX1 Tableau, which we have extracted earlier on, is saved into another external drive, which we discuss as the destination file. So the destination file is actually the file which we discussed in the presentation, referring to the image that have been extracted from the suspect's file, and now we save it into the destination file from the source. So when the suspect's file is saved or it's been extracted forensically into the destination file, this is the way it appears in your folder. So you have to rename this in line with the case number and the case details that we have input into the previous presentation. But it depends very much on the naming convention of your investigative offices on how you rename your cases. So by default, when we extracted the data from the suspect's hard drive, it will automatically save as TX1 images. So here it actually put the details of the hardware that we use, which we discuss as the TX1 Tableau. So again, the assumption here is that we've already had Autopsy running into your Windows system of your computer, and also we have a suspect's image extracted from the TX1 imager, also in your saved in your backup file. Now, before we extract this, forensically analyze this by launching the Autopsy, we have one caution message here. I've discussed that in the previous presentation, that the TX1 Tableau has the potential to do a data destination plug with more than one destination files. So when we work with this file, we should have at least one other imager should be in the storage of your investigation storage room. So that when we're dealing with this, we probably insert an additional character into this file, and it will change the hash or the hash calculation which we previously calculated. So if the hash calculation that we have already calculated changes in comparison to the original external hard drive of the suspects, then the whole investigation will be deemed as tampered. So if you or us working with this imager without changing any character, it also refers to take for example a dot. is a character. So if we put a dot into one of the files of this TX1 imager, it will change the hash calculation, and the hash calculation will differ from the original, and that will temper the likely deemed to be tamper with the original external drive. So we are going to launch the Autopsy now, and then when the Autopsy asks for the file, then we will ask Autopsy to retrieve the file from the local hard disk, which is the external drive which we use to do the forensic analysis on. So let's launch the Autopsy here. Now, while this Autopsy takes time to load, I think we need to make some comments and announcements here. When Autopsy forensically analyze a suspect's data, it depends on the capacity of the data. So if we take, for example, if the data is more than 1 terabyte, for example, it will take at least more than 5 hours to do the analysis. However, there is also an additional note. When we forensically extracted the suspect's drive from using the Tableau TX1, that takes at least between 2 to 3 hours. So extract the suspect's drive into a backup file, it takes at least between 2 to 4 hours, I should say. But when Autopsy is analyzing a suspect's data or a backup data to do the forensic analysis, it will take at least between, depend on the capacity, but it's between 5 to 8 hours. So if the capacity is low, it can take, if the capacity is in a, say, flash drive, for example, which is very, very small. So if the flash drive is 2 gigabyte, it will take less than 30 minutes to do the forensic analysis. But if it's more than 1 terabyte, for example, it will take at least more than 8 hours to do. So this is an information that we need to understand before we use the Autopsy. So now the Autopsy is asking us whether we are actually doing a new case or we are going to open a case. So because this is the first file that we created, we just click new here. So when we click new, the other window will ask us to provide a case name. We've discussed case name in the other presentation, as well as the Tableau extraction of the suspect's data, which our case name is I think sex predator and procurement suspect, crime suspect. So we've named the case as somebody who committed sex predator issues, as well as involved in procurement crime. This is just an example, just to lead us into the case. So once we type in the case name, then we can be able to choose where we want to save the file to. So here, as you can see from this data address, it will be saved to courses, Tableau, and Autopsy, so we can retrieve this data from there. Okay, now if we agree on this, we can press on next. So after we confirm to that, remember we have information here. This is the information that we actually need to load into in line with the details of the case. So I think we've named the case number as 2020-6-11. case that we did. You can put in your phone number here. This is just a form up number. I just put it there, and your name here, and as well as the note. So the note here is referred to the case. So we can repeat the case here. Repeat crime. So what is important for us to decide on this case notes and details? The importance of this is that when we come to do the analysis, when this file has been transferred into autopsy, we can able to put in our search words or search algorithm into the autopsy, and once our search is input inside the autopsy, it refers to the consistency between our target for the suspect as well as a keyword into the autopsy that will be used to detect the findings. So then we press finish. So once we press finish, it will now create the case. So as I said, now it creates the case. It depends on the timing. So here it asks, the question autopsy is asking is, what are you trying to do? So we've discussed in the other presentation that the Tableau can do two things in terms of the file extraction. One is the imager. Here, this autopsy refer it to be the disk image. Disk image is equally equivalent to the word duplication in the Tableau TX1. So in autopsy, it's disk image. So disk image is used in another software, but disk image is equally same as duplicate. So when it asks for disk image, as far as the language used by the autopsy, it refers to duplication, and logical files is the logical image which we discussed on the other presentation. So here we can click on as our operation here is the disk imager. So if we click on disk imager and press next. So now it asks where is the disk imager is actually located. So we can attempt to go here, just enable us to search for the file. Then this is the hard drive, this is the external drive, which I said the backup of the TX1 imager or the suspect's imager file is located. So if we go there, we find here. So we just click the whole file here. So click the whole file here, then press open, click open. And so remember, when we did the imager, we chose the file format. So this is the file format that appeared. As I said, different forensic software uses different format extension. So when we chose the image.e01, it's because I know the autopsy will pick this up. Autopsy also will pick up the other file extensions, file formats as DD, for example, or E001, for example, but autopsy is more friendlier than this. Now, the file formats, despite their differences in terms of the extensions as well as the naming conventions, but the way the forensic the software that used to do the imaging of a suspect's file is just the same. So this is just an information, and that's why I emphasize for us to pick image E01 on the other presentation, because when it comes to this reading, it will read the E01 as we already detected. So we press open here, then it will give us this information again. Just to confirm, yeah, we confirm that we picked the image.e01 from the external file. Here they ask us to ignore the open files of a FAT file system. So in this case, we won't. And remember your time zone. We've agreed and we have discussed during your use of the Tableau TX1 imager that one of the functions that you need to put your system right so that other forensic software can read in line with your imager is the timing. So the zones are very important. So when we look at the timing in that presentation, it's also consistent to this timing of the zone. So ensure that they are consistent because of the chain of custody documentation. All these things will also refer to timing. So we ensure that the timing in chain of custody as well as the timing within this autopsy software data extraction as well as the TX1 data extraction from the Tableau, they are all need to be consistent. So we ensure that this one is agreed with your jurisdiction timing, then we go next. So here it actually asks you the things that you need to pick them up. So if you look at the type of files and the type of the detailed type of information that you really need to pick out from this data imager. So here, for example, would you willing to have autopsy perform the functions of a keyword set? So if you exclude this one by clicking this one, this thing here, it will enable us to do the following function. So if we click this one, if we check this, it will do away with these functions here. So for example, in your keyword sets, if we search for phone numbers, or we search for IP address, or if we search for email addresses, or if we search for internet addresses that the suspect probably have in terms of these details. So if we exclude keyword search, for example, it will not detect this sort of details. So we agreed to insert the credit card numbers here. And also, let's get on to other details. Let's check email for example. So email here, if you uncheck this email detail, it will actually remove all the emails that are presented in the suspect's hard drive. So if you accept this one, it will take everything on board. So it's basically this window is asking us on which one are we going to accept and which ones are not. So here we agree to take everything here. So we accept all, then we accept all, then we move next. So when we finish this, autopsy will do the add data source. Add data source, it means that autopsy will able to access the information that we extracted and save into our external drive. So this is the extraction process. So as I said, it depends, but the size I could tell is close to 1 terabyte. So it will take at least more than 5 hours. So it depends on our on the capacity. So we can wait from here. I think while we are waiting for this data to do the extraction, we should bring in some details of the autopsy just to discuss some snapshot of autopsy capability. So here I'm actually bringing in the file from the autopsy website. So if, for example, we run an entire autopsy, bringing all the details of the suspect's drive into the autopsy. Autopsy can able to analyze, for example, if the suspect utilized a drone, for example, and then get the drone data into his or her computer. Autopsy can be able to analyze the presence and what the drone was able to capture. So if, for example, if we wanted to understand where is the presence or the situation or the location of the suspect at this time of the week or the date of a particular month, drone and as well as GPS data can be also analyzed from here. So these are the examples, the capability of autopsy can perform. The other one, if we let's try to look at it. Have an information here. Okay, now the data extraction of the source is done. So now we can able to click finish. So when we click finish, it will do the analysis. So this is the analysis that it will do. Now, this percentage here refers to the analysis. So in the analysis, the autopsy will do the particular analysis on the details that I've discussed, the email, whether you like the email to appear or not. So if you look at this initial extraction, you can see that, images are here and interesting items are here. The internet website that this particular suspect was accessing for a particular information. So remember, we actually got hold of the suspect's drive because of crime that related to sex predator as well as procurement financial crimes. So procurement financial crimes as well as sex predator criminal activity. So using the detail of our case, we can able to go to web bookmarks. If there are web bookmarks, for example, or the cookies, web cookies, you can identify. So already the system already put 1,433. So now 1,433, and then we're still going on based on this analysis, because if you look at the analysis, it's still 0%. It will going up to 100%, but we already have, for example, web cookies up to 1,433. These are huge data to analyze. So the shortcut to do it, we use the keyword here, key shades. And once we able to input our keyword, we ask Autopsy to do the search. And once the search give us a positive hit, then we can able to tag them. And once we tag them, Autopsy will remember that at the end of our analysis, we can ask Autopsy to generate the reports, and a report generation will pick up the information that you feed into. So for example, all your key shades words will be picked up in the report generation as well as all your tags. So when you come across, for example, here we have EXIF metadata. These are referring to the metadata of a picture, of a photo, for example. So it will detail whether the photo is coming out from a Kodak or it's coming out from Apple. Where is the source of that photograph? So these are the type of information that Autopsy can able to help us with. So we're gonna minimize this because it's still analyzing this data, but this is the whole rich information that it will help us with our investigation. Now, when the suspect decided to delete any information, all the delete file will appear here. So when we are interested to pick up something, for example, a particular photo of, or a particular document that involved to a procurement issue, and that procurement issue will be, help us to catch this suspect. But before this investigation was conducted, he deleted the data. So we can be able to find the data here. So even if he or she cleaned the recycle bin, we will still find the data here in the delete file. So these are the areas that we are going to find information. So These are all the summaries, summaries of this autopsy. But however, these are all huge documents. We still need to do something so to make our life easy. So here we can able to use the keyword search. So let's leave it here while it's doing the analysis. Let's go back to the autopsy software. So this, autopsy guide. So if we click the email, for example, if we click email, we go to it. This is our autopsy. See this screen here, it's equivalent to the live screen that we are in. It's still analyzing this data. So if you look at this data, this is the live data from the autopsy. So if you look at this guide here, and if you look at email, if you click email and go to default and go to default, there is 45. These are the emails that you find based on this demonstration. So if you want to read emails that related to the suspect or that will help us prosecute the suspect, we can get the emails from here. Or even if you do the search, let's go back to the live autopsy. If we do the search here, and the search will pick up, say, something similar to procurement. And if procurement is related to a file that is deleted here, a picture that is still current in the system, or a website that enables or that enhances this guy or this suspect to allow him to do more studies in order to go around the current procurement system by accessing certain internet sites. So we can also pick them up here. So all the procurement will be captured here once we key in the keyword search. So this is the capability of the autopsy. So again, these are the thumbnails of the information that you capture. Let's get back to excuse me. For those of you who've heard of virtual machine is a machine that is installed especially a flash drive, or it's located in a suspect's computer or a flash drive that is functioning within a network system. So normally when it operates, this system will not be detected by the users within a certain network. Only autopsy will pick them up. So this is the way autopsy will pick them up. If you go to virtual machine lookout, this is the way it will be located in the autopsy. So go to data source, go to test image, go to this file, and within this folder you can search for the visual machine. Visual machine can be tracked by investigators through the suspect's hard drive using the extension of VHD. VHD is the extension file for visual machine. So these are the capabilities. We actually wanted to discuss the snapshot of the autopsy capability while we were waiting for the live to go on. We will actually stop here. I will pause the video because the analysis is still zero, and as I said, it will go on for the next 5 to 8 hours. So we will pause here for a while the system will continue to do the analysis. So it means that the suspect's drive has been analyzed, but it's only 70%. The other 30% is now affected by this report here. It says that 195 errors have been identified during the extraction process. So in this case, we know that 70% of the disk has been analyzed, and the other 30% is affected by the 95 issues that have been found. Like it mentioned here that there have been errors. So we have to document these errors in our report as well, because it will give us an indication that some of the things that we probably anticipate have not been accounted for during the process of analysis. So if we look at this area here, the side of the left side of the screen, it details what actually the outcome of this analysis. So first, if we look at this view section, the source is basically the suspect's drive, but the view portion will give us the detail of these findings. So if we look at views, go to file types. If you click on file types, it gives you the type of information that will give us from file types. So if we go to extension, for example, it gives us another information that 75,383 images have been imaged by the through the suspect's drive, and 869 videos have already been identified as well. And as well, there have been audio files that have been detected. And also there have been archives that have been detected with databases of around 528 been detected as well. So if you can see in terms of archives, it can read or bring out data from the suspects with extension files of, for example, zip files. So these are zip files, for example. It can also detect them. So under the images, it also can bring in these image files for analysis. So if we click into it, this is also a summary of this. So if we click on this image, see, it will try to bring out this 75,383 photos as an example. So it's basically giving us the results of what we actually found in the suspect's drive. And if we, so this is the result of what the image is found in the suspect's drive. So if we go through line by line, it will give us 75,000. So just this information, if you look at it, when you see X's, it means that this information have been deleted. So if we click on it, it will give us the type of information that this one is also represented by the modified time and change. So it represented that this information have been deleted by the suspects. And also, the other thing that we need to note here under this analysis, that if we go to documents, under documents, you can see that there are certain documents categories. So if we go here, it will tell us that this analysis can pick information that coming out from the Office, Microsoft Office, for example. So it says that already 21,166 documents of this sort of extension file have been extracted, and also 26,017 of HTML documents have also been extracted, and PDF of 6,000 documents. So these are the things that we can be able to find, or these are the basic information that Autopsy can help us with. So the rich file, so 2,400 rich file text, and 1,900 of plain text. So these are the type of example of general analysis that Autopsy will give us. So the same information here can also be summarized in this part of the section of the Autopsy. So if you look at results, these are the extracted contents. So it basically summarizes this entire information to these categories. So here is the type of accounts. It refers to a person that is logging in using the suspect's drive. Here it will give us the details of fine details of the pictures or photos that have been detected. Here it gives us the summary of encryption data that the user have actually entered into. So these are the type of information that we'll get from analyzing this autopsy, using the autopsy. And also it will give us the recent documents here, the recent documents that have been accessed by the user, for example. And so as the web bookmarks, sometimes you want to bookmark webs. It's also important for investigators to know that you can able to access the bookmarks of the suspects. And as well the cookies and downloads. See, here it refers to the amount of downloads that this person actually downloaded from. So these are the details if you click on it. So these are huge information that you can able to get your information from. So if we go down here, these are the type of information that we can be able to get from this data extraction, and also the type of web search and web history that the user able to access. So these are the information that's summarized through the autopsy. And also autopsy can be able to give us the interested items here. Interested items. So for example, if it had hits related to bomb, so here it indicated that 313 possible hits related to bomb. So these are very important for law enforcement as well. And the keyword hits here, it also summarized this one into this information up here to the internet addresses, the IP addresses. So whatever exchange between the suspect and the internet, it can be also found here. So see, there are around IP addresses that actually transacted or been found through the system of the suspects. So now we can ask the question, what are we accessing this suspect's hard drive for? So we know that our case here is related to sex predator as well as procurement crime. So while we want to find out at least something related to it, we can also use the search of keyword search. So here we can put words like, okay, procure. So procure is related to our suspects committing procurement fraud, as is an example here. So if we put procure there and then we press search, it will give us some search results if it actually has. So see, so in terms of procure, we have some results here. So if we look at the results, it depends. So after typing the result, we can be able to say, okay, these are the things that related to procure in terms of what this suspect is actually performing with things that related to procurement. So if we decide to say that, okay, one of the file that we definitely want to analyze because it's related to file procurement is probably this file here. So if we say, okay, this file here is related to what we are trying to find, or it's related to our suspicious investigation of this suspect, we can click on it, and then we can click on it. We can click, double click. I think it's still loading. So after we put in this keyword procure, it will give us 409 results search. So if we go through this interested file, it has an extension of XLS. It means this file is actually it's still searching here. Okay, we'll keep this window aside here for a while we attempt to look at other information.